Well, there we go. We're on episode 9, aren't we? Now, theoretically, we should have stopped at episode 8, because episode 8, you only have 8 episodes in a series normally, don't you? And then it stops. You have to wait a really long time. Well, we stopped for a couple of days. I had a bad time. Just with thinking and just existing. So I had to stop so that I could. Well, I couldn't. That's the problem. I just couldn't. Anything, really. But got a psychiatrist next week, so that'll be fun. But yeah, bit an odd one. Middle age, existing, 3 kids, her indoors, just holding down a job, paying the bills, trying to get somewhere. Very odd, really. Very strange. When did we all get into this malarkey? Anyway, so, right, actually, someone's asking me about my podcast. And I'm like, yeah, it's not really that exciting. We've only done, 8 episodes. I say we. It's only I, isn't it? It's just on my own. But we were discussing really what this podcast is all about. I said, well, it's about this book. It was absolutely rubbish, and I thought I'd read it because it's literally the most annoying book on the planet. And they said, no, and we then discussed that maybe I should read 50 Shades of Grey because that's also a terrible book, badly written. But and we said, well, we talked about the Mills and Boons because I mentioned Mills and Boons quite a lot, which is really was books by housewives who were bored and thought they'd write a steamy novel, but they had editing. And this was the whole point. This had started the whole argument is maybe this is what this podcast is about. It's about about the failure of literature. Maybe we're saying that actually there used to be filters in place. Even Mills and Boons, they would pay you to write a book, but they'd filter it. They'd be like, no, this is awful. We're not going to publish this. But you can actually spend £2,000 of your own money, or even less, with print on demand now, and you could publish a book for a couple of £100 and maybe hope to get some money back on it. If you think this book that I'm holding in my hand, I looked on eBay, and some people are trying to sell it for £20 because obviously they can't find any other copies of it, thinking, oh, we've struck gold. If they'd actually read it, they'd realise that it was absolutely painful to read. But it makes me think that maybe are we killing English literature? Is this what my podcast is about? It was about the mundane, the middle-aged dullness of just waffling on and just thinking, well, actually, this is all just crap. But really, were you thinking, in the old days, there used to be filters in place. There used to be people would go, no, that is rubbish. We can't publish that. That's not going to make any money. That's not going to do anything. When they made the first printing press, do you think they just thought, oh, you know what? I've got a book. I'll just go for it. I don't think so. I think they probably spent a while thinking, what actually could we write? What could we print? It's got to be the news. We've got to tell stories. And I think to myself, actually, yeah. I look at the books on my shelf. I've got books from Bill Bryson. I've got Nick Hornby books. I've got all the Harry Potters, obviously, because everyone's got the Harry Potters. I've got all the Armitage Fowl books. I've got loads of Roald Dahl. I've got loads of books from different people. But it makes me wonder. It just makes me wonder. Anyway, I'm being called, so I'm going to vanish. And then I'll be back in a moment to start reading. Well, there we go, and that was a nice little pause for you all, with no intervention in between. So I feel like I should bung some music in, but then it doesn't appear on all the other platforms that no one ever listens to it on. But anyway, it's far too serious, that last 3 minutes or whatever it was, wasn't it? I should just talk about rubbish and just random things. Because I feel I need to. I don't know. I feel like... yeah, but I still can't get my head around sniffer hamsters. It's going to stay with me for life, I think, sniffer hamsters. But, yeah. Just... I don't know. I've got no stories. That's the thing. That's what's confusing me so much at the moment. Is that I had stories. I can't remember any of them. And all just random weirdness. I just don't know. I've lost it somewhere. Anyway. Right. Talk about losing it. We're on page 41, weren't we? So obviously I've still not told anyone whose book this is. And I think it's best that we leave it like that, because I got visions that someone's sitting there going, right, I'm transcribing this because I feel like someone's going to read a whole book and we might want to sue them. But anyway, I don't know why I've even used that American voice. Oh, because it was published in America. Oh, I've given the game away. British person, publishing in America. That could be anyone, couldn't it? Anyway. Right, so we did the whole saucepan on the head thing in the last thing. Male nurse, everyone's talking, all the men are talking camp. It's just it's just ridiculous. Trevor then picked up on a conversation between a couple in their 40s, sitting a few rows back from him. He remembered them from when he first came in. He nonchalantly glanced around the waiting area and looked at them. Nonchalantly. And A, I can always have to say that in slightly French. And B, he keeps using that word. It must be his favourite big foreign-sounding word. They're sitting together, and it looks as if the guy had done something to his right arm, as his jacket was zipped up and his arm was not in the sleeve. Maybe he's cut it off. His arm seemed to be inside his jacket, hanging down towards the front of his stomach, as if it injured his arm, and as a consequence, could not put his arm down the sleeve of his jacket. But Trevor also noticed that he couldn't see the guy's right hand hanging out from the bottom of the jacket. Trevor turned back and listened to their quiet conversation. I just don't believe you at times, the lady sternly but quietly remarked to the guy. What do you think you were playing at? I was only trying to help Becky fix her plane, the guy replied in a very timid, quietly spoken voice. Trevor immediately came to the conclusion that the lady wore the trousers in this particular household. He continued to listen. Now, modern fashion dictates that anyone can wear trousers. And this is... It's such a 1970s... It's like me saying her indoors. It's such a 1970s thing. I was born in the 70s. I will admit that. I'm going to admit that because I'm middle-aged. I have to be. If I am middle-aged, then I'm going to be somewhere between 40 and 60, aren't I? Because I'm middle-aged. So I must have been born somewhere near the 70s. Honestly. I would have been early 70s. Maybe late 60s. But not really 80s. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, the whole thing just seems a bit like this guy was... It seems like the author of this book is probably in their late 70s by now. Maybe nearly pushing 80 with statements like that. I've heard, it's like that saying, all talk, no trousers. All talk, no trousers. But here we got, in that house, the woman wore the trousers. Just, really? He continued to listen. Why couldn't you wait for me to do it tomorrow? She asked. Well, Becky wouldn't go to bed until it was fixed. You know what 6-year-old girls are like? Well, no. But didn't you realise how careful you need to be with superglue? She asked, with annoyance in her voice. Well, I didn't know. I just looked in the garage for something that said glue on it. When I squeezed the tube, it all came out all over the place, he replied. Well, I'm sure there's some double entendres all over there, but obviously it's the comic. So we've had saucepans on heads, and we've had superglue incidences. Right. She continued, okay, but why do you always do... What you always do with superglue is make sure you wipe it from your hands before you do anything else. Last of all, go to the toilet. Oh, I can see... Oh, yeah. I'm a complete laughingstock with the girls down the pub. After the landlady took the telephone call, then called out my name and shouted across to the whole pub that I needed to go home to deal with an emergency. My husband has superglued his hand to his willy. Oh, please, again, the comedy routine, isn't it? The comedy routine. First of all, it would indicate that he would have to be using the superglue naked, because he would have glued his hands to his trousers before he even made it to his willy. Just willy. So he wouldn't have... So no, because how was he get... He would have had to slide his hand in, it would have got stuck to his belly before it even made down past his pant trouser area. This man's not really thought about it. He's gone into unbelievable detail about unlocking cars and washing hands and stuff. But here, he's not really thought about it. Oh, we'll just have someone... What could we have that's really funny in the waiting room in a hospital? A&E department. Oh, I know. We'll have someone with a saucepan on their head, because that's a standard thing to do. And they've glued their hands to their cock. Ah, thought Trevor to himself, hence the arm inside the jacket. So his hand must be inside his trousers. He couldn't help smiling to himself and thought that guy must be a complete idiot. During the time that Trevor had been listening to the conversation, he could hear in the background muffled banging noises as Jane thumped the vending machine with the palm of her hand. A few seconds later, there was a large bang. Trevor looked around to see Jane with her hands either side of the vending machine in a telltale position that showed she had just rocked the whole machine onto its back legs and then let it fall forward onto its front legs. The male nurse on the reception gave a look of displeasure at Jane, who had just happened to glance around at him at the precise moment. Jane left the machine, walked back to Trevor, and sat down beside him. "Bloody machine," she quietly remarked to Trevor. "Oh, sorry. Bloody machine. It's got those whirly bits of metal that turn around and drop the packets of crisps down the chute. The packet that I wanted is still caught up in the whirly bits of metal." Trevor, he's a man of the world, had experienced this situation before with other machines of this type, and accordingly advised Jane. This is where the writer gives us wisdoms of the world. If there's a packet behind that one stuck, then you can normally put some more money in, make the selection drop, and normally the first packet and the next one drops down. "But that means I have to buy 2 packets of crisps," she replied. Then Trevor came out with his own pragmatic approach to the situation. Look, pragmatic. "Well, you either buy 2 packets of crisps and eat them both, or you'll let the next person who makes the selection get a free packet that you've paid for." Dum, dum, dum. Out of the corner of his eye, Trevor literally saw the thought process going through Jane's mind. Because she has a see-through skull. She jumped up from unless she's got a flipped-up head. Now, wasn't it which toothbrush advert? There used to be a toothbrush advert. Let's see if we can find out. Yeah, this is more interesting than the book. Which toothbrush advert in the 80s used to have flip-top heads? Shall we find out? It can't be. Was it Aquafresh? Right. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, I can't do this because Google will tell me in the kitchen. I'm not in the kitchen. I'm on a lounge, on a sofa. I'm wearing my smoking jacket and velvet trousers, obviously, and not just hanging out in my jeans and t-shirt. Because obviously you got to dress up to do advert. You got to dress up for these podcasts. That's the word I was looking for. Right, which advert for toothpaste had flip top heads? UK, obviously. Iconic animated Reach toothbrush flip top heads returns to TV. Oh, Johnson & Johnson's Reach toothbrush flip-top head 3 years ago. It's available on... It was 1990. I was close. And it's available on YouTube. So there you go. You can find it on YouTube. Reach flip-top head TV commercial. Yeah. So just, if you're Googling, Reach... Johnson & Johnson Reach toothbrush flip-top head. We all like a flip-top head, unless you went to Vietnam in the war and you got a metal plate in your head because your head was made into a flip-top head. And that would be a bit more dangerous, I suppose. But yeah, well, there we go. Oh, yeah, there's lots of them. I think we're bringing it back as well because there's one on Vimeo. There we go. I see. I know my. No, I don't know my. Well, I do know my streaming platforms. That's another story. I'm all about streaming. Right. She jumped up from her seat, almost dashed over to a vending machine. Oh, and almost dashed over to a vending machine. She jumped up from her seat and almost dashed over to a vending machine. Why almost dashed? What's almost dashing? What's almost dashing? Is that like a mild jog, a bit of a sprint? What's an almost dash? Almost dashed. You either dash, or you run, or you just move quickly. It's not an almost dash. It's not dashing. Is not unless you're a unless you're in some 18th century drama or some early Victorian drama way, but just so dashing. He was just so dashing, almost dashing. He was dashing, but no, it wasn't dashing this time. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't that dashing. It was almost dashing. His cravat was marvellous cravat, but no, not dashing at all. No, I would say no. Trevor heard some money being inserted into the machine, and then a few seconds later, the clang of the metal door through which Jane had retrieved her crisps. She walked over with a look of satisfaction on her face and installed herself back on the seat next to Trevor. "You're not just a pretty face," she said, as she displayed the spoils of her second visit to the vending machine. 2 packets of crisps. He could have gone with 3. He should have said 3. Just said, the machine overran because it couldn't see the drop of a second one. Anyway, modern vending machine. 2013. Did we have modern vending machines that detected non-failure of droppage? I don't know, because most modern machines work on a non-failure principle, don't they? Unless they're the bottle ones that zoom and pick up. But I think the average vending machine now has a sensor in that detects non-drop, so it'll keep spinning with spinny winnies until something does drop. If not, it'll give you your money back. She opened one of the packets and started munching away. Oh, good for her. Another male nurse came out on the reception desk. "Trevor Fowler for X-ray," he called. Trevor got up and walked across to the nurse, leaving Jane seated and chomping away at her crisps. Oh, that's good. It really is. He's really pushing this whole sexist thing. "Would you like to follow me?" he said to Trevor, and led him down the corridor into a small room. "Just lay down there," he said, as he pointed to a high metal framed couch over which was suspended what Trevor recognised as an X-ray machine. Yeah, normally X-ray machines are a dead giveaway because they have radiation symbols all over them, and they're normally in a room that says X-rays. Also, normally there's a booth on the other side where people hide because they don't want radiation poisoning all day. Just a thought. I had x-rayed? Had my knees x-rayed. Arms, hands, feet. Never had a head x-ray. No, but the interesting fact. Let's do an interesting fact whilst we're talking. If you have an MRI scan, sometimes you have to have a head x-ray, because what happens is, if you work in a machine shop, for instance, where there's lots of swarf of metal, all that gets deposited behind your eyes. And if you have a full body MRI scan, there's a nasty habit of your eyes being pulled out. So that's a bit inconvenient. So yeah. So I won't be telling anybody in the machine shop that one, because I don't like some of them. Anyway, that's another story again. There now, if someone in machine shop's listening to this and thinking, oh, I don't care, well, fine. Right, we walked in. Trevor lay down on the couch. The nurse, without taking any real notice of Trevor, moved Trevor's head into the appropriate position, then manoeuvred the bulky machine so it was closely positioned over top of Trevor's head. And then it fell, crushing his brain. Oh, if only it was true. Okay, said the nurse, while scrutinising. Ooh, scrutinising. Nice big word. Some paperwork. Close your eyes and keep completely still. The nurse then disappeared behind a large screen on the far side of the room. There was a momentary buzzing noise from the machine above Trevor's head, and then the nurse reappeared to move the machine away from him. I feel like we're missing information. I feel like the writer has not really hung out. It's not really a momentary buzzing noise, is it? Is it? It's kind of a clonk, then a whir, then a clonk. I thought, oh, go back to reception and the doctor will call you once she's free. Trevor again picked up on the voice of the nurse as being somewhat soft, and for some reason this really started to puzzle him. Things around him seemed to be a little strange, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Oh no. Right, bear with me. He couldn't put his finger on it specifically. What it was, but he knew there was something that wasn't quite right. Also, his mind had further questions. Why were male nurses so prevalent in this hospital? They're not prevalent in any hospital. Male nurses and female nurses are a thing. They're standard. No matter how far you go back, they were always standard. It's just the sexist stereotype that you're all portraying in this book, sir, that makes us believe that it was all Dolly Birds and Benny Hill. That's just shocking. Also, Trevor returned to the seat next to Jane, who was flicking through a Fast Car magazine that she had found. A Fast Cars magazine, not a fast magazine about cars. It's like only one page, just a really quick magazine. Quickly read it. Oh, that's a flyer. Maybe it's 3 pages. That'd be quite a quick magazine. Really small as well. Really small one. Only a couple of words. Oh, that was a quick magazine. Throw it away. X-ray done, she asked him, without looking up from a magazine. Yes, he replied. That's so rude. She's so rude. They just sat together in silence for about 5 minutes. Then a lady in an all-white overall appeared at the reception desk and called, Trevor Fowler, please. Trevor and Jane both looked up, got up from their seats, and walked towards the lady, Jane leaving the magazine on the chair. Shocking, she should have put it with the other magazines. She's just... Anyway, we don't really care about where she put the magazine in the first place. Don't even tell us she's just left it on the chair. Just say they've got up from their seats and walked off with the lady. The lady was holding a set of papers and a processed X-ray. Oh, that's good. She showed them into a small consulting room. Hello, I'm Dr. Smith, she said. Please take a seat, and pointed to a couple of seats on one side of the desk that was situated in the middle of the room. The doctor sat down on the seat, the other side of the desk. Well, that's standard. You sit one side, doctor sits the other. She looked up at Trevor after reviewing the notes and glanced at the X-ray. "Have you felt any nausea since knocking your head?" she asked seriously. "No," Trevor replied. "How do you feel now?" Well, there's 2 jokes we've missed here. Trevor didn't pick up a chair and walk off with it when the doctor said, "Please take a seat." And secondly, when someone says, "How do you feel?" normally you reply, "With my hands." I've just got a bit of a headache, which sometimes turns into a numbing pain if I move my head about too quickly. The X-ray doesn't show any fractures. Now I see from the notes that you were conscious for about 10 minutes. How long ago did you get the knock on the head? About half an hour ago, Trevor replied. 10 minutes, Jane asked the doctor, looking confused. I told the nurse at reception it was about 10 seconds. He must have misheard me. But after thinking about it again, I don't know whether he was actually knocked out. Things happen so fast. Trevor realised that Jane had cleverly suggested a misunderstanding. It was quite cunning, wasn't it? Quite clever. Rather than face a potential confrontation with the nurse at reception regarding what was actually said, and in the same breath she had relayed the true story to the doctor. That Jane is just so clever. "Oh," said the doctor, slightly taken aback by this information. "Well, if you weren't unconscious, that puts a different light on things. The X-ray indicates that you all look fine with your head. My advice to you is to go home and get some rest. Just take a paracetamol to ease the headache, which should hopefully subside in the morning. However, if you feel it persists in the morning, or you feel nauseous during the night, then come straight back here." Well, that's not what they'd say. They'd probably say, ring the medical helpline number. Is it 101? Is it 111? I can't remember. "Okay," Trevor replied. "Yeah, thanks, Doc," said Jane. "Oh, do you know what? We'll stop there. I can't. This thing is just so mundane. It's not only is it mundane, it's sexist. It's just, what's the point? What's the point? No wonder I'm depressed if I read books like this. I must find some better books. We'll do the Meals and Boons. I'll tell you what. Hopefully I can go. I'll go up in my loft at the weekend and get my Meals and Boons down, and we can try that one. I think it was based in Wales. I had it when I was reading it when I was 17 for some strange. My great great aunt gave it to me, and she was quite great. So I'll read that. If not, I'll find something to read. And then you can just listen to my dulcet tones. Anyway, right, I'm off. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your evening with your bourbon biscuits, as one of my colleagues was eating a bourbon the other day. So well done. I'm very happy for you. I've got some penguins. So the biscuit, not the actual animal. I find that you're not really allowed to keep the actual animal anymore. They're better off in zoos. Because you can't keep them properly anyway. They don't all fit in the bath. We need to have a conversation about that at some point, don't we? About pets you could have as a support animal that you take everywhere. It won't be sniffer hamsters, put it that way. Right, anyway, have a nice evening. If you're doing this in the evening, if you're in your car, then try not to crash, because I'm obviously so boring, but I drive you to it. It's a pun intended. And then if you're just doing your day-to-day things, congratulations. Have a nice day now.